Shalawam, everybody, saints, elect, watchers, anybody else in the world who happens to come across this video. This is Jaron127 coming back to you to complete, what I was trying to finish up in my last video. I know I had to go to class, so I wasn't able to finish all of the meteor dreams, but with this one, I'm going to finish up the last meteor dream, and then I'm going to go into another dream that happened like around the same time as this last one. So with this one, I was at my old elementary school, which was a kindergarten through 8th grade school. So imagine 9 years at the same school. With that, obviously you're going to meet a lot of friends, make a lot of friends, see a lot of people just come and go within that 9-year span. So what was strange about this dream is that it was almost as if it was like a reunion, so to speak, at the school. So it was almost like a reunion, I want to say. But the thing is, we appeared to be the age that we were when we were in elementary school, or when I was in elementary school, yet I had the car that I'm sitting in right now. So it might have been some kind of reunion that's, in the future or something. I don't know. But at any rate, as we're walking out of the school, it's around evening time. So obviously, the sky would be partly dark, partly still illuminated, pinkish, orangish, reddish, whatever color the sky would be when it's setting. So I'm looking up at the sky along with everybody else, and we're just in awe because obviously if the sun is in the sky, you see just the sun, one orb. But on this particular evening, we see like 5 or 6 orbs in the sky, and they all seemed or appeared to be like sun-like, look like suns, but they were smaller. So we're just in awe. We like, man, what is going on? So if you can imagine, I'm looking straight up. I see like 4 orbs right there, all in the sky. They're all like kind of in a line, different sizes, but more or less they're not as big as the sun will be in the sky, but I want to say they're like about the size of the moon, something like that. So it's like 4 orbs, and they look like suns. Keep that in mind. So I'm looking at, I'm like, whoa. Everybody else like, whoa. So once I turn to my right, I look to my right, and this was probably the craziest thing I ever seen. Like, the vantage point in these dreams, it be so like first person that it is weird. So I'm looking, when I turn to my right, I see a very, 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 very large sun-like orb that's literally, it's impacting the earth, basically, is what's happening. So this orb, if you can imagine, what the sun looks like if it's rising, when you can see it kind of like on the horizon when it's coming up and it's just real big like that, imagine that times like 10, and it's more of a orange. It's more, not orange, but it's more of a like a yellow orangish color, and it has like cracks, like black cracks going all throughout the body of the structure, or whatever it is, the sun-like structure. So I'm assuming it's some kind of meteor or something like that, just because obviously if it's a sun, you would feel like heat from the sun. But in this case, I didn't really notice anything. Me or anybody else, we didn't really notice any heat or anything coming from the objects. So I just assumed it's some kind of meteor, but it looked like a sun, like it was that big in the sky. And as it's crashing down into the earth, coming over the horizon, you can see the literal crust of the earth peeling away from this thing as it's crashing. But the funny thing is, in this particular dream, unlike the other ones, I wasn't able to hear or feel like the impact. So I'm watching it come down and crash into the earth, and I'm looking at this thing literally peeling away the crust of the earth. So at that point, we ran. It was me and probably a couple of other friends of mine from that time period. It was probably 5 or 6 of us. We just started running. So we ended up running, and we ran back to the car that I'm in right now. But it wasn't parked where I initially parked it. That's the weird thing about it. So at first I'm thinking somebody stole the car, but it just got moved like 60 feet for some reason. It was weird. I don't know. So we get in the car and we try to zoom off, right? So we're like, oh man, we got to get up out of here. We got to zoom off. So I try to start the car. It don't start. And we trying to figure out what's going on with the car. In the dream, I just assumed that it was because somebody stole the battery out of the car. For those of you that don't know, like I said before, I'm from Chicago, and I grew up in the western suburb area of Chicago, which at the time when I was growing up, it was kind of bad. It wasn't the best, but it was still kind of bad. So I just assumed somebody stole a battery out of the car. So we get out of the car and we start running through the neighborhood. Keep in mind, this thing is still crashing into the earth. And like I said before, if you can recall seeing the sun come over the horizon and see how big it is, imagine that times like 10. And you see it's crashing. You see the literal earth peeling away from this thing. So it's already hitting the earth. So we're running, and from there the dream pretty much ended. It got kind of weird because I didn't understand why we chose to run and hide if we already see that, the inevitable has already happened. Okay, the impact has already happened. So I wasn't really sure why we decided to run as opposed to just standing there and watching, this thing crash into the earth. But this was the last meteor dream I had. This was probably about a week and a half, 2 weeks ago, I want to say. Week and a half, 2 weeks ago. But in between that one and the one I told you guys about in another video, it was weird. I was literally in the exact same setting. So back at my old elementary school, remember this is kindergarten through 8th grade, back at the same school, and this dream was a little different. Growing up, I was a good kid, but I also was bad at the same time. So I used to just do a lot of things, that was not necessary. So for instance, in this particular dream, basically what happened was, sorry, I'm adjusting the camera because my arm getting tired. So in this particular dream, I left my classroom, my homeroom, and I'm just, I was playing around in the hallways and whatnot, and I go to another classroom. And the classroom that I went into, of the teacher that I went into, she was a 3rd grade teacher. She was not my teacher. Even in real life, she was never my teacher. So I go into the classroom and the kids, everybody's in there. The reason why I went in there is because I had a couple of friends in there. So that's why I went into that classroom. So we in the class, and all of a sudden, like dozens of UFOs just come out the sky. Dozens of them. They all come out the sky. If I can recall the color, I think they was like maybe like a charcoal gray kind of color, something like that. So I'm gonna show y'all something. See if y'all see that. See, do y'all see that car? That Dodge? It's kind of like that color right there. I don't know if y'all saw it or not. Y'all might have not been able to see it, but it was like a Dodge truck that just passed by, and it was like the exact same color that I'm trying to describe to you guys. So anyway, dozens of these UFOs come out of the sky, and everybody is just silent. We're all afraid because we don't know what's going on. We don't know what's happening per se. Then, like on the loudspeaker, or maybe telepathically, the UFOs start talking to us, and they're telling us like, we're not here to take anybody today, but we're gonna be back and we're gonna rapture you guys, right? That's what these UFOs said, right? So they're like, we're gonna come back and rapture you guys, or we're gonna come back and take you guys. We're not gonna take anybody today, but we're gonna come back and take you guys. Then they left. So after they left, it was a lot of murmuring going on in the classroom, a lot of chatter, and second and third person conversations amongst different people in the classroom. So when the teacher, she was like, what do y'all think? When she got everybody's attention, she was like, what do y'all think about what just happened? And, I raised my hand, and she called on me, and I said, I was basically saying this is obviously a fake, because I'm like, why would they come here and not take us today, but then say they're going to take us at a later date? I said, this is obviously some fake stuff. I'm like, this is obviously got to be like a fake rapture or something like that. I'm like, because it doesn't make any sense. I'm like, why would they even... I'm like, why go through that trouble? If you're here right now, why not just take us right now? Why wait until another date to take us? And you know what I'm saying. Like, why make two trips if you can just do it right now? So that's when I came to the conclusion. I'm like, this got to be a fake rapture. I'm like, we already know, obviously based in the scriptures, that it's gonna be some type of falling away or delusion that's going on with the second coming of the Messiah. It's going to be the false Messiah. He's going to come first, and that's going to lead to the great falling away. A lot of people, they're going to buy into what he's talking about, willingly receiving the mark, unwillingly receiving the mark, or unknowingly receiving the mark of the beast. So a lot of that is going to go on. So that's pretty much what I chalked it up to be. And this was a UFO dream I had. I'm trying to think if I had any more of these in the last few years. I don't think so. This is probably the first UFO dream I've had in years. I'll try to think of other ones, but this is probably the first one. So with that, I'll end the video. I'm actually at the laundromat right now, so my clothes will probably be done pretty soon. And I'll try to get back with you guys pretty soon. Please like, subscribe, comment. And if anybody has any similar stories, definitely comment. Put them in the comments. Okay. Thanks again for coming to the channel. And God bless everybody. Shalawam.